antenna.
You can't hold court without a recorder.
Oh.
He's speaking justice.
Oh,
Okay,
really?
so we've got Rav Huna says in the round you can't give a field to an adult relative of a child to look after, because that adult relative might claim that the field is part of his own legacy rather than the child, and it gets confusing. That's what Rav Huna says. So Rava says, oh,
He's there. Hello.
that can wait. So Rava says, but somebody else you could. So for example, if you've got, another who's not a relative of this little Nebuch child orphan, that is okay to have that person look after the field. So Rava says, why is that? Surely you should say that as much as the adult relative of this orphan child can claim to be the rightful heir of this property, so too an adult who's not related at all should be able to make a claim of his own. Nothing to do with inheritance, but something else. You tell me, if I imagine you're looking after a field for a child, and time goes by and you're there year after year, and things get forgotten and lost over time. And let's say the child is 2 years old when you take this field on. So 8 years later, the child is 10. And you've actually taken a fancy to this field. It's nice. It's well appointed. It's fertile, Baruch Hashem. So you know what you'll say. You'll say, well, what will you say to claim the field?
I've got prescriptive rights. I've been working here for all these years, and this is my thank you that I should have the field.
No, that does not work. No, you're an apotropos, you do it for free. That does not work. No.
I'll make a bring it.
Give me something better.
You would like to think you could say for all the time.
No, you take it on for free. That's that. No, but you're both being far too honest. Bless you. You've been too honest.
So then you've got no claim.
Come on with a lie. Come on.
Court of point of view.
Sorry?
Court of point of view.
Better than that. Sorry?
Was my field.
How come?
Because I said so. And why would the child not? Unless the better thing.
How come it came to? We know years ago it was his dad's.
How do people know? Do people?
Well, report records from 10 years ago. Yeah.
So
Cool.
But the child's only 10 years old. The child is only 10 years old.
Yeah, but how will the guardian for the field claim that it's his own, not the child's?
Based on,
That doesn't make confer ownership. That just confers the duty of care. A simple explanation. How come I'm in this field? We know that once it belonged to this little lad's dad. Allah Shalom.
you're the clever one.
Well, maybe you were thinking because it's a contract. I'll be able, for all the work I've done, I've got a claim.
Lie to me. Come on, don't be so honest. Lie to me.
I'm the regent here, and I'm looking after it for the kid.
But
It's really mine.
The kid.
why is it yours?
I'm his uncle.
No, because you're not a relative. We know you're not a relative.
No, but I'm lying.
You got me. No, I said, we know you're definitely not a relative. That lie will not work. No. A simple explanation. How come I got this field? You nearly said it. How come I got this field?
Because I bought it.
Right. From whom?
From the previous owner.
Who was this child's
Father.
Yes, that's it. Yes.
Down.
No. So
There's no
it was 8 years ago. I don't keep stuff 8 years on. I've got life.
So he's lying.
Yes, that's right.
He's lying because I bought it.
Yeah.
But you're spot on. Yes.
Eventually.
Prove it. There's nothing to prove it. It was a
Verbal.
Well, no. It was a documented stuff, but it's a long time ago.
Where's the document?
I chucked it.
Disappeared.
Would happen, though, wouldn't
No, but the basin wouldn't have that.
No.
How
not
can the
necessarily.
basin accept that?
Well, so the question is, what Rob was saying is, I can tell you for a fact that claim will not work with a child. Because if it would work, we wouldn't dare send any adult to look after this field.
Because they'll be that rich.
Because they'll make that claim. That's right. Elomai, Novos, says Rava, I must say that an adult cannot claim to have bought the property of a child and say, well, I lost the documentation, but look, I'm still here year after year. And therefore I must have, you know.
And fighter, you couldn't put him to make a shavua in basting because there's the risk he'll make a false shavua and a brach of a Torah.
You're right, but I'll tell you better than that. I'll tell you better. You've got no right to impose a shavua. A shavua is someone who's made of a mitzvah, somebody who agrees to part of a debt. But what, stand to impose a shavua just because, what, for nobody? Who are we to even impose that? So motivated by what you say, I'm so scared about imposing shavua, I wouldn't dare. Actually, I'm kind of agreeing with you, I think. Yeah, okay. I hear it. Yeah.
It's the best I've got out of you so far.
A grudging acceptance. Yeah.
Very nice.
Okay, so there it is. So Rama says the fact that we prepared to, in the blasé fashion, just to send this adult down to look after this field because he's not related to this kid, must prove that we don't accept any claim from that adult about, he's been there over a while and now therefore that must mean it's mine. And what happened? Oh, I bought it years ago. Documentation? Well, it's been a while. I took it out. No, we don't allow that for any child. Because granted, if it was an adult, let's say I was in your field for 5 years, and then one day you say, what are you doing in my field? I said, what do you mean your field? It's my field. I bought it from you 5 years ago. Then you'll say, well, where's the documentation? I said, well, it's a long time ago. I chucked it. That would be acceptable. I would have a right to retain the field. And if you come on and say, get out of my field, I'll say, no, I've been here 5 years. That's it. In fact, even 3 years is enough. I'm not expected to keep documentation for more than 3 years. That's the limit. So after 3 years, if I have a chazaka she'eni motana, which is just that, well, I like it here.
Yeah.
No, get out. I can't have it because I want it. But if I have a story that backs up why I'm here now, for example, I bought it off you, and you say, where's the documentation? Well, I say, well, it's been a while. It was 5 years ago, so I chucked it.
So adults and adults for now, but not with a child.
Right, so for an adult it will work, but not for a child. Because if it did work for a child, we wouldn't dare send an adult down to look after this field. We'd have to let it go to rack and ruin. Otherwise, because better a neglected field than a stolen field altogether. But Rava says, clearly you see that an adult cannot make that claim. Fine. Okay, so that's what Rava says. Amar Rava. Rava said, Shma minim Rav Huna. I can work out from Rav Huna, ein machzik ministik katan. You're not allowed to make a chazaka on the claim of a cotton, which means you say that I'm here because of a legitimate purchase that happened so long ago that I no longer have the documentation. I just have my occupation as proof of ownership. That's all I have now because it's been a long while. And now over the page, Kanai Nahara, thumb test on my face, hooray. Just a second. Even if the child grew up in the meantime. So let's say you start to look after the field when the child was 10 and now he's 15. So he does now have capacity and understanding of things. And he didn't complain the last couple of years or whatever, makes a difference. The fact that you started when he was a child means that you may never exert a chazaka over this land. Never, never, never. Okay, now we're gonna look at the other things that Rav Huna says. V'loi Amron, this rule of Rav Huna's that says that you're not allowed to send a relative to look after the assets of a child, an orphan child. Loi Amron elo ba'achi de'abba. We only said that with the paternal brother. So we're talking half brothers. We've got a full brother and half brother. A full brother is somebody who has both the father and mother in common with their brother. A half brother can be either a shared mother or a shared father. Now, the simple rule is that by and large, the inheritance goes through the father. If there is a father around with assets, then the father on his death will bequeath his estate to his sons. That's generally speaking how it goes. And the firstborn gets double and the rest share it out. So we can forget about firstborn. It's not really relevant to this situation. Basically, the father bequeaths his estate to his sons. That only so if let's say I got let's say my mother had a child from one man, and then she married my father and had me. And this is a bit like this diagram that we've got here. So I WhatsApped this out before. I'll actually see if I can put it on the screen. Just a second. See if I can get that up. Just bear with me a second, see what I can find. Here we are. So for those of you watching on the screen, I'll see if I can get this up. Where am I? Here I am. Can I do a share? I can do a share. Here we are. There now. Right. Okay. So I've got this little diagram here, which should explain to us what's going on. So we've got a woman. She's the mother on the right, top right in this diagram. She had a son whom we're calling brother. Okay, bottom right. Then she married another man and had another boy from him. That child inherits field from father. And then that second man to whom she was married passed away. So now I have a situation where the child of the father has a maternal half-brother. He has a mother in common with his brother. I'll just use the cursor here to point out on the screen. So we've got, again, mother top right, had a child who called brother in bottom right. Then she married father deceased, before he was deceased, obviously. They had another boy together, and then the father died. This is our situation. So the question is, this second boy on the left, he's now a child orphan. Can his maternal brother look after his field till he grows up? That is our question.
Yes.
Other brother. Oh, sorry, go on.
Yes, he can.
Go on, Colin, talk to me.
He could look after it on behalf of his brother because they share the same mother. It's a very same situation with my stepson and my own son. And I just look at it with exactly the same eyes. And yes, he could look after it for his half-brother, which would be Jack in my case, and my son, and Jerome being my stepson, on his behalf, as long as he handed it back to him when he was 13.
Okay, but I think you're being too innocent, Colin. You're being too nice. Let's assume that family relations are not good. Family relations are not good.
Okay.
And we worry that maybe the mother's first son, being a ne'er-do-well, might try to seize the inheritance from his stepfather's son.
Got you.
That's our worry here. So
Yeah.
concern. Yes, okay.
But the boy from the mother and her first husband,
Yeah.
he can't inherit from the second father, right? So he's never going to be in the position of owning the property that's in dispute.
We'll see. Oh, you're right.
I think
Luckily, you're right. Luckily, you're right.
Actually, I think he's correct in law as well, unless there's a will that overrides.
Ah,
that. I think that's 100% correct.
Okay,
that's 100% correct.
If you have a will, then it's absolutely fine.
It.
And then we're laughing, because then we're laughing. It's a very sad situation. I'm sorry to say that.
No, but absolutely. But if there's no will, then it is absolutely as our learned judge has just said.
Right. Okay. So let's look this through. So Rav Shlomo says that since we've got in my diagram on the screen here, and you got it on the papers here, this brother in the bottom right, as Rav Shlomo correctly says, and Connie says as well, and you're all right, since he's not the paternal child of this father, the Nadi's father with this field, in the top left there, he's got no right of inheritance because, as we've seen, the inheritance goes from father to the father's son in halacha. So, of course, as Colin said, provided there's no. If there's a will, then the will takes precedence. But this is all default stuff. It's dog and duck stuff, and nobody knows what's going on. So you're right, and you're right, and Rav Huna says you're right as well. So let's see. So the problem is,
but we're probably wrong.
well, there's a worry according
Tell us
to
why
the
we're
Gemara.
wrong.
The Gemara is going to actually rule against Rav Huna, as we're going to see shortly, because there is a fraud that can be perpetrated by the mother's first son from a different man. That's the problem here. So we're going to find out. But let's look at the Gemara, and you'll see how this goes. Let's get into my. I'll see if I can do change the screen share. Just a second. Stop share. Undo share. And into the Gemara, if I can. That is, do that. Then do that. And then do that. There we go. Right. Okay. So, V'loi Omron, top line on 39b, line decimal base. V'loi Omron, we didn't say this, Elo ba'achi da'aba. Only, says Rava in Rav Huna, only when do we say that you can't send a relative to look after the field, a brother to look after the field, when it is a paternal brother? Because then it's Achanvei. Then you've got these two brothers who are both children of this dad, and this brother will say, it's all mine. He'll come up with some story. But when it is a only maternal brother, less ba, we're not concerned about that because he's not an heir. He's just like any old guy. So as much as you can appoint somebody from elsewhere, you can appoint this maternal half brother. He's no different. He's just some random guy. And there's no claim he can say to purport to be the rightful heir of this field. As Shlomo and Colin both say perfectly correctly, if he makes any claim, they'll say, well, you're not the paternal son. You're the maternal stepson. You're not an heir, so get out. And that's it. So Rav Huna says, so Rava says in Rav Huna, so if it's a maternal half-brother of this orphan, that's not a problem. No, there's no risk. It's fine. And we're going to come back to why the Gemara disagrees with that shortly. This one's a bit easier. We only worry about sending down a paternal half-brother, a proper co-heir. We only worry about sending him to look after the thing. Only with land. Less bonbon. When it comes to houses, we're not worried about this. So if this orphan has been left not a field but a house, then we don't worry about a paternal half-brother, this little orphan's father's other son. We don't worry about him looking after the house because this is easy. If this paternal half-brother wrongly claims that the house is actually part of his share of the inheritance, what will everybody say?
Well, can I rewind? Can I rewind slightly?
Yeah, go on.
Because unless the law's changed completely, today, using that same scenario, actually, if that were to happen, the mother gets everything from, so if it was to happen with me, my wife gets everything, and all of them are her children. So therefore, the one who's the stepson would inherit from her. Therefore,
you're right.
Through that
you're
way,
right.
It was
that's with a will. But
without a will.
Not like that.
No, that's without a will. Without a will, if that would be the automatic thing that would happen, is that everything that I have would then go to Amanda, in my case.
Right.
Amanda is the mother of all of the children.
Yeah.
And when she dies, then she's the person they inherit from. So all four would inherit.
I see.
If there's a will in place, which there has to be in these circumstances, then it changes it. So you've got to change it by a will, I would say. So otherwise the mother ends up owning the estate.
You're right, but not in halacha.
Right. Okay.
Because in halacha, the woman's rights to her husband's estate are very different. It's not automatically the whole thing. So if he dies intestate, that doesn't mean everything goes to her. We're actually going to come to this very shortly. It's called nichsei malug. We're going to get to that. So I grant that in fact, in many people make a will that way, that if whoever dies first, their spouse will inherit everything. Then when the spouse dies, it will go to the kids. That's a common pattern in wills. But in halacha,
it's the default, Rabbi. I think if you don't have a will, that's the default.
Right, but in halacha, it's not the default. That's the difference.
Absolutely.
So we'll come to that. Okay, Yishaka, thank you. It's interesting to know that. Okay, so with houses, it's not like that. Why? Because the answer is in houses, and this again, this is classic dog and duck. If you live next door to somebody, you get chatting over the years, and you'll talk, among other things, and not just about the bins, but also about your financial arrangements, and how things are, and they might say, if one day when I leave this world, I'm leaving that house I'm leaving the mansion in Surrey to Bob, and I'm leaving this penthouse. I'm leaving to George.
And as usual, I get nothing.
So George, this little lad George, the neighbors know that he's the heir of this penthouse. They know it because over the years people chat, and your next door neighbors will know by and large what your arrangements are. Apparently, it seems they're more. I mean, I don't know if people talk this freely about things nowadays about their wills, but in those days they did. So, it was the way of things. So there'd be no risk of any skullduggery at all, even with the paternal co-heir, when there's neighbors around, because the neighbors will know better. And if anybody makes a false claim, the neighbors will be brought to testify and based in against that false claim, because they know, they heard from the dad what he wanted to do. There you go. So Rav Huna's concern about not having a co-heir look after the field will only apply with the field, not with the house. Because with the field, well, who talks about their field? We talk about our houses. We don't talk about our fields so much. A field is in miles away. It's off in the sticks. But I'll talk more about my house and where I live and what's going to happen to, I'm going to miss the old place or whatever. Or when I pass on, I like to think of my little boy, running around here with, himself one day. That's how people talk, apparently.
Yeah, but with the field, somebody can brass on you.
Hey, very good. That's a very cool.
You just planted that.
It goes against the grain. Yeah.
I thought Rev Levin would be more interested in the watches than the field.
He's watching out for his inheritance. Okay, so there you go. Okay, so that's why the Funners consent does not apply in that case. Now we're on the fourth line down. Itado. I'm sorry. And even with land, the more risky prospect, we haven't got neighbors to testify about what's going to happen to it. They didn't say that. They didn't say Rav Huna's concern, or Rav Huna didn't say his concern, except when there was no, and this is Colin's point, when there's no will specifying what goes where. But if there was, then obviously there's no consent because you got it properly documented and everybody knows you have a proper record of what's meant to happen. And then it's all fine. And truth is, when a Gemara talks about a will, a document, it doesn't mean that he's setting it out against the laws of inheritance. It might mean that he's implementing laws of inheritance, saying that I dispose of it in this way. This one gets this, that one gets that, and that's all according to the laws. That he's got an equal. So let's say the field is worth as much as the house. So he'll get the field, then he'll get the house, and that's that. That's what he decides. That's it, and that's all that. So obviously, in such a case, there's no suspicion at all because it's a proper record. If he made a will, then there's people will know about it, and there'll be no concern about the arrangements of the deceased being overridden. Then the Gemara says 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 lines down, and this is where we come back to Colin's point about a will. Veloihi. The Gemara says that's what Rava says in the name Rav Huna, and we do not follow Rava in halacha. We paskin against him. V'loi, it is not true. Loishna achida abba, v'loishna achida ima. It makes a difference if it is a paternal half brother or a maternal half brother. We do not allow it. It's not true. The maternal half brother is not an heir. So what could possibly go wrong? And now we come to Colin's point about how exactly a spouse inherits their husband, how a wife inherits her husband in halacha. And this is how it goes. And we touched on this before, so I'll be brief. We'll go through it. So you got a husband and wife, and they're married, and the wife will bring property into the marriage. And here's how it goes. Let's say she brings a field. We keep it simple. She brings an orchard into the marriage. That's her orchard. She bought it. She paid for it. It's all hers. She run it for years, and now she got married. What happens to this orchard? So the orchard remains hers, but the produce of the orchard belongs to her husband for as long as they're married. And that kind of property is called nichsei malug. Why we're not going into? That's why it's called. And that's what it's called. So let's say, for example, that you got our case here. I'll just get back to that in the screen chat. We're gonna look back to the document that I handed out before.
And that will always belong to her, but the husband doesn't get his sticky paws on it.
Absolutely. And when he dies, to whom does it belong?
The wife.
That's right. It goes back to his wife because it's hers all along. So now he can only take the produce. It is entirely hers. Not stock around. The orchard and the produce are all hers. Okay. Now then, what if this maternal half brother says, "Well, yes, I'm not going to write to my stepfather's estate in an intestate situation of inheritance. You're right, but you're all making a mistake. That field that you've asked it to look after was not from my late stepfather. He was using it, or let's say that orchard. He was using that orchard, but it belonged to my mum all along. Therefore, it's not to go to that little boy. It's to go to me. Because when my mum dies, or maybe she's already dead, it's mine."
Okay.
But so are the others. So are the other kids are hers as well.
Let's say
The
there are
other
no
children
others.
are hers as well.
Let's say there are no others.
Okay.
I'm keeping it lean, just to keep it simple.
One on one.
I've got enough sorrows, Colin. All right.
One on one. Okay.
So
Trust me, I've been there. I've paid a lot of money for advice.
okay. So we've got this.
There must be a difference here because if the mum's still alive, then she can say.
All right, she's dead. There you go. I kill her off.
So the problem arises.
Sorry.
You could bring her back in the shower, though.
Stuff comes along and says, no, it was my mum.
That's right. That's right. That's exactly it.
So on what basis is he saying it? What?
Well, he says that's just how it was. I'm telling you that because it's the truth. That's what he says. And we don't know.
No, that's the point. We don't know.
People don't talk about fields.
Nothing, no
paper,
no
nothing. But he has a reasonable a narrative to fit him taking possession of this field.
Wouldn't be anything in the Kasubah.
It might not specify. She might have bought this thing after they were married.
Well,
In which case, women
yeah, but
yeah, no, right.
So when
Well, no, but still, next you're right. But the problem is that when the half brother claims this about the orchard that he's been deputed to look after, nobody knows whether this orchard was inherited from the father who's deceased or from the mother who's deceased. We don't know.
But the
They were living
mother's
together for
dead.
years.
But the mother's dead. Therefore, who else could possibly be in line? He's still the nearest to inherit it because the mother's dead. Where's it going if not to him?
So to the little lads, because if it wasn't the mother's really, if it wasn't this similar, if it belonged to the father all along,
Right.
then it should go to the
Yeah.
little orphan, not to this
And the
maternal
father
half-brother.
should have made a will to say that, so
But
there
they
was no
didn't.
confusion.
They didn't, did they? The idiots. They
And
didn't.
in that case,
Again,
then I think in that case, because they didn't, it has to go to the half brother,
which one?
the one that's the maternal's son, the
But it may
mother's
be
son.
wrong. It may not be true. It may be that really it never
Yeah,
belonged to the mother.
fathers.
It was
She
the
was
father's.
negligent. She was negligent. She should have made a will.
Well, just because she's an idiot doesn't mean we're going to take it from her.
There's no other way of working it out.
Well, I'll tell you what I'll do. You know what I'm going to do? I'm not going to delegate it to the half brother in the first place, so he can never even start a claim. Because once he's got his once he's sitting in the field, he say, "Oh, it's mine," or in the orchard, he say, "It's mine," and they say, "Why?" So when you inherited it, keep him far away, he'll never get started.
You're going to shoot him off as well, kill him off as well.
Right, left, and centre.
You're killing them all off, Rabbi.
Oh, sorry.
So the husband
Yeah.
inherited
Yeah.
from the wife, when he married, he inherited, not inherited.
He has the right to the produce.
Inherited the produce.
The
Yeah.
produce.
Yeah.
The produce.
So Rustam is waiting. Yeah, go on. No.
But now this little fellow, George, who is the orphan, we're presuming he's a minor.
Yeah.
Fine. What if he's of an age, let's just say 14, 15?
Yeah, he's an adult.
Well, when did...
Bar mitzvah. Bar mitzvah.
Okay, so 12.
Okay. All right. Right.
Right. And Solomon. Right. There
Oh,
you go.
that's moira.
So if he wanted to, if he volunteered, could he come to Basin and say, actually, I remember what happened.
No, on two counts. Firstly, he's a minor, and secondly, he's related. He can't give testimony out of the question. He's related to his dad, related to himself. Forget it. Because and also he's only one witness, so that won't help either. So we need other people like the neighbours. But the problem is you don't have neighbours chatting about an orchard.
No.
They talk about where he's living. And he says, "Oh, you know what we do with the old place when you're gone? I'll give it to George." But they're not saying what he's going about the orchard. They don't know about the orchard. He keeps his business deal.
Yes, the husband, he said, cool.
He said, "Donnie, you're the apple of my eye."
He realised his wife was the
Apple of his eye. I'm just saying. Very good.
Oh, you give me that.
Okay,
So
so
is that the same, Rabbi? Then okay, just using a different analogy. So that what happens if the wife decides to build an extension? So she
Yeah.
goes to the company called Stitcham and Leggett, and they build her a lovely extension, okay, for the kitchen, and Stitcham and Leggett done a lovely job, and she cooks all the food, and whilst she's alive, he eats all the food that's cooked in the kitchen. But when she dies, the kitchen doesn't belong to her anymore. Is that right? So
yes, a husband inherits his wife. That's right.
he inherits the kitchen, the additional building.
Yes,
that they've just
yes. But we're not talking about that case here. We're talking where the husband died first.
Oh,
So-
sorry. Okay. So
potentially
the
he-
husband died first. Okay. Right.
So potentially she
That
got
makes sense
back
to me now.
the kitchen or the orchard from him, and then she died too.
Got
So
you,
now
got it.
her son is claiming the orchard or kitchen for himself, and he says that this field that you think that the little lad inherited from his dad was never really his dad's. It was my mum's, and she inherited it from. So she brought it into the marriage. Her husband, my stepfather, used it for many years. But when he died, it went back to her. Now she's dead, it goes to me. And this orchard that you're asking me to look after for this little lad is actually mine. And problem is, once he's got possession of it and a story to back it up, you'll not shift him. If he's not yet in the field, he's not got possession, so he'll have to bring a proper claim, have to bring documentation. But once he's got possession of it, you'll not shift him out. Because as we know, possession is 9/10 of the law. If you want to get it.
Then he's an adult and he can.
Right, but you're right. But if the story started when he was a child, the guy's really going to have possession of it. That's the problem. Once he got possession, you got to have a reason to shift him out. And if he's got possession with the story to back it up, you're sunk.
So it boils back to the best with that they should have
Person who's no relation whatsoever.
Exactly, and that's exactly what the Rabbanon say against Rav have an apotropos. That's right, that's right. But it had to be a court appointed person
Yeah.
who, and as we've seen from Rav and Rav cannot use a chazaka at all. So then we're safe. We don't allow to make a chazaka on the child.
She's not anything documented. There is no proof anyway.
You're right, but the thing is, once I got possession of it and a story to explain why I got possession, I don't need proof
But how have you got possession?
because the base put me in there 3 years ago.
So they believe you stole.
No, they didn't then. They just put me in to look after it. But now they got no choice but to believe me. That's the problem. So we don't